This is brilliant. This is the greatest. Nothing's more Hollywood than this. Saw's done. The franchise is done until we bring it back and call it something other than the name of the franchise. But there's no marketing for a movie called Spiral, so for marketing's sake, we're gonna squeeze the name Saw in at the end when we call it Spiral from the Book of Saw. It's just nothing's ever dead. Spiral or Spiral from the Book of Saw, whatever it's called. I don't quite know what I'm going to title this yet. So Spiral isn't a new Saw movie. It's a Saw copycat movie, so it's not really a Saw sequel. It's a Saw spinoff. It's a Saw sequel in the way that U.S. Marshals was a Fugitive sequel. Like, chronologically, it's a sequel, but spinoff. That kind of sequel. Point is, Chris Rock plays a cop in this movie. He's a good cop. He's an honest cop, and he gets a new partner, and they're working this case. This case that looks very familiar to the old Jigsaw killings. Looks like we got a copycat on our hands, folks. So Chris Rock and his new partner, they're chasing the leads and chasing the bodies. It's, you know, it's Saw. That's what we come for. But it's not all this movie has to. It tries to do more. Man, that was a very jumpy series of thoughts. I apologize. Not on my A game today, but I'll bring you this review. All right, what I like in this movie, out the gate, we meet Chris Rock's character, and right away I'm like, I like this Chris Rock energy he's bringing to the Saw world. His monologue about Forrest Gump is damn near legendary. And then after that great introduction, that energy, it kind of goes away. Like, not fully goes away. I just think it gets buried under the shrapnel that is the mess of this movie. More on that in a second. I don't want to jump around too much. Still talking about what I liked. I also like the traps. I mean, there aren't a lot of traps in here. I can remember 3 of them. But the traps that we get were actually pretty imaginative. Imaginative traps. There is a way out of the trap. Whether or not they're going to take the way out, that's the question. Very good Jigsaw-esque trap puzzles that do the late John Kramer justice. And the reason you're not inundated with a lot of traps in this movie is because this movie didn't want to be a gore fest. I mean, the traps are gory, absolutely. It's pretty brutal and bloody, but you can tell this movie wants to be more. It's going for something deeper. This movie wants to be a compelling investigative film. And that's where this movie feels messy. It's where Spiral feels like it has a case of identity crisis. It wants to be a Saw movie, but doesn't fully commit to being a Saw movie because it wants to be taken seriously. So it kind of wants to be like a movie like Seven, but it doesn't fully commit to that because, well, we have to make it like a Saw movie. So what you get is this weird hodgepodge mess that really doesn't feel like either. It doesn't excel at being either. It doesn't really find its own identity. Everything cool in this movie, and this movie did have some interesting stuff, but it's all stuff you hear about. The traps, though, entertaining. You've seen traps in these movies before. But there's a really compelling backstory about Chris Rock and some tension between him and some cops because cops don't like him and some cops can't be trusted. I'm like, that sounds amazingly interesting. I feel like that's the more interesting movie. Bummer, we kind of see it in really quick snippet flashbacks. I feel like we should have spent more time there. I feel like this movie should have been longer or was longer, but had things cut out. So it just feels kind of jumpy. Like, this movie's a series of location changes where they're just like driving to one place, driving to another, and you're just watching the Jigsaw stuff happen in between. There's no interesting investigation in this movie. There's no actual chasing the trail of a killer. This movie intensely lacks a sense of direction outside of, hey, bad guy, just there's another body, and obviously it's a trap thing, so I guess we better go there. It's just reacting to people who die. But again, no actual pursuit, you never feel like they're getting closer to finding this person. But you know, because this movie, it does a thing, and I feel like I watch a lot of movies, you know that. So there's a part of me that wants to assume this is a case of me watching a lot of movies, so I see a lot of these tricks, and there was something that happened in here where I was like, well, my list of suspects just went down to 1 because of how you executed this one thing. Where else was I supposed to go with that information? Keeping it vague, just in case. But it was really sloppy. This is a case where I appreciate what this movie was trying to do, but that's not enough to keep it afloat. I'm interested in seeing more in this world. Wow. I'm saying the same things I said about Mortal Kombat. I guess we've seen this a lot lately. Interested in seeing more of this world for a sequel as long as they can get better writers and focus it up. This movie isn't quite the groundbreaking Saw movie it wants to be. It doesn't quite elevate the content at all. And all I can say is the movie happened. A movie with identity crisis that wasn't quite Saw, wasn't quite investigative manhunt movie. Wanted to be both. Really was neither. And I'm not going to remember it in T-1 day. Yep, already forgot. Alright, so Spiral. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.